All right, so this video will be on proposal writing. So yeah, proposal writing, that's what we'll be covering for this video. We'll be looking at basically how to write a proposal, and basically I'll be paying more attention to what how to write an undergraduate proposal, because it depends on what you're writing. But I'll try as much as possible to make it a general video and a general discussion, so that whoever that comes across this can actually adopt same for his or her proposal writing as an undergraduate. So basically, we'll be paying attention to a one-page proposal structure. What I mean, a one-page proposal structure, that means we'll be writing the proposal just in a page. It won't be more than a page. But if you were being asked to write maybe 3 pages, 4 pages, 5 pages, all you need to do is use the same structure I'm giving you, but just what, expand your content. That's kind of, you try to say more stories, like try to bring in um, more stories into it, just to make sure it gets to the number of pages which you've been required. But just stick to the structure and you will be all good and fine. So the one-page proposal structure will be divided into 3 paragraphs. Yes, we'll be having 3 paragraphs in the one page. So paragraph one. Now, in our first paragraph of the proposal structure, we'll be looking at the proposed topic. First thing we'll be talking about in the first paragraph is the proposed topic. Next thing is to define the variables. Then we'll try to link the variable to both. We'll try to link both variables, that's both the dependent and independent variable. If you are kind of confused on what a variable is and which is a dependent and independent variable, that means you have to go back to our first video, which is on article review. Like I told you guys, if you could do an article review of at least 5 articles, it gives you an insight. You are 50% ready for your project writing. So this is what we'll do in our first paragraph. We'll talk about the proposed topic, define the variables, try to link both variables, that's the dependent and independent variable, and with that we are done with the first paragraph. Then in our next paragraph, we'll try, which is the second paragraph of the proposed structure, we'll try to talk about our objective. We'll try to look at the source and the year of the data coverage, and we'll try to talk about the method of our data analysis. Then for the final paragraph, we would would we would be dwelling on how um on how or what sorry on what we aim to achieve at the end of the study. Now remember, proposal is what you intend to do. So since you are intending to do it, it's more like we're going to be using a future tense. It's not as if it's something which we've executed. So it's more like we're going to be using a future tense for it. So remember I said we're going to be using, is basically going to be a one-page proposal structure that we'll be talking about, and the one page will be divided into 3 paragraphs, and we talked about the things that will be in the first paragraph, what will be in the second paragraph, and what will be in the third paragraph. So now let's look at a practical proposal which I have actually drafted out for this very class, so that we could actually use that to draft out our own if there be need to write a proposal. So this is a proposal which I've actually drafted out just to help us pull through on how to write a proposal. So getting down to it, I said it's going to be divided into 3 paragraphs. This is my first paragraph. Let me color it with red. Then this is my second paragraph. Let me color it with another color. Maybe let's use green. Is green, is that clear? Or blue? Try to use a color that we can actually all see. Alright, green. Then we will leave this as black the way it is. So you can see it's actually 3 paragraphs and all in one page. This is a blank page. So all in one page. So let's go through what I've written and see whether it makes sense, and as well whether it addresses all we said. So in the first paragraph, we said we'll be looking at first thing is the topic, we'll define the variables, then we'll try to link both variables, that's both dependent and independent variable. And you can see here, I started by saying the project research is an appraisal of the impact of foreign exchange rates fluctuation on on economic growth in Nigeria. So this is actually the topic that I just stated. Just said the research work is an appraisal of what impact of foreign exchange rate fluctuation on economic growth in Nigeria. So if your topic is something like impact of government expenditure on poverty reduction, all you need to say in the first sentence is the research work or the project is an appraisal of the impact of government expenditure on poverty reduction. Full stop. That's it. So, and I said that's about the topic. So the next thing I said we'll be trying to do is to define the variables. Now, note in every topic there are always two variables, and in this topic the basic thing we're looking at here is foreign exchange rates, and we're looking at economic growth. So I would say you define both variables, but you could as well decide to just define one, but to get more marks or more attention from your supervisor, or to tell your supervisor you know what you're doing, try to define both. But in my own, I just try to define one variable, which is the major one, foreign exchange rate or foreign exchange. So I said here, foreign exchange, also known as what forex, is the conversion of one currency country's currency into another. That's what foreign exchange is all about. So I still went further to say foreign exchange rate fluctuation is the interaction of the forces of demand and supply for the foreign currency in a particular period of time. So that is still trying to define the variables. So if I wanted to go further, I might try to define what economic growth is all about. So like that would have come next after this very place. Then after that, you try to link the two variables, which is foreign exchange rate and economic growth. So I tried doing that, and I said, thus thus one of the primary functions of determinants of exchange rate is to sustain the value of the naira during instability. So that is kind of using, I'm trying to make a statement, trying to link the exchange rate and the economic growth. So that sentence takes care of that. So basically, my first paragraph, I've told you what the topic is all about. I've tried to define the variables, and I've tried to link the two variables together. So in the next paragraph, we will be talking about the objective. Then after the objective, we'll look at the source and year of data coverage. Then finally, we'll now look at the method of data analysis. So we did that here. Let me change this back to the black. We did that here, and let's see how it played out. We said, to this end, that's just starting my sentence. You could use something else to say, based on the above, the researcher intends, that's what I intend, since it's just a proposal. The researcher intends to achieve the following objectives. Remember, I said in the second paragraph, we're looking at the objective. So I listed out my objective to find out the effects of to find out the extent of the effect of exchange rate fluctuation on economic growth of Nigeria, I stated another objective to find out whether inflation rate has significant effect on exchange rate, and blah 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 goes the same to the end of my objective here. Now I know you'll say, since you are writing this for the first time, how do you come about your objective? Go back to the first video, do your article review, download articles, look at what the objectives were, look at and try to figure out which is actually possible for you. Now After talking about the objective, we said the next thing we'll look at is where do you intend to gather your data from? What type of data do you intend to use? Now you see some of the students will see ask me how do they know what the data to use? Go back to the first video which I've made on article analysis. Get knowledge on how to do your article review and gap what analysis. You'll be able to identify the type of objective you should use, the type of data you should use, how you should source your data. Once you know all this, you are 50% ready for your work with your project. So next is the data. So I said the data for the study will be what mainly secondary data from where from CBN Central Bank of Nigeria, that's CBN Bulletin Statistics various year covering 1986 to 2018. Note, if your work is going to be primary data, your work or in your proposal, you can just say the data for this study will be mainly primary data. Here, instead of secondary, you say primary data, and to be collected from maybe if it's let me say you're studying an institution. Let's say for example you're carrying out a study that has to do with Babcock students filling your questionnaire, or you're carrying out a study on a supermarket and you need the customers to fill in to respond to your questionnaire. That means where we have collected from, you put in the people, the respondents which you expect to fill in your questionnaire. I hope this is clear. So the next thing is I tried to talk about the next thing, the method of data analysis. The researcher intends to adopt ordinary least square via regression analysis to what to via regression analysis to hypothesis formulated with the aid of what of statistical package for social sciences version 22. So here I'm trying to say that I would be carrying out an ordinary least square to yes, I'll be carrying out an ordinary least square to test my hypothesis. So if you are going to be using the same um, ordinary least square, it will determine, or you'll be able to find out by the time you've done article analysis. Even if your supervisor did not ask you to do that, please just try to do it. It gives you most of the answers to what you're looking for. Stop kind of bothering me on little things which you can actually do. Just check it out on the articles. Look out for what they did. From there, that's the same thing which you're expected to carry out, or you just go some extra mile. That's it. But with the article review, you've known basically most of these things. So that is what I've stated there. Then I try to justify my use of the OLS. So the justification for the choice of OLS includes its computation procedure is very simple, and it minimizes the squares of the residuals. That's the advantage of OLS. So any method which you decide to adopt, you can just Google it, the advantage of that very method, and use that as the justification for using that method. And I went further to say the time frame for the work will cover 1986 to 2018. So here in this paragraph, we've talked about the objective, where we intend to get our data from, what type of data we'll be using, how we will intend to analyze it, and why that very method we've chosen for analysis is the best. So for the last paragraph, which I said there will be discussing, or we'll be talking about what we aim to achieve by the end of the study. So what that's what we'll be doing in the last paragraph. So what we did here, what we're going to be doing, what I did here is actually that I said at the end of this research work, the researcher intends to find out whether the variation in dependent variable, which is economic growth, that's GDP, attributable to the independent variable, exchange rates, inflation rate, and interest rate. Now, the researcher intends to carry out a literature review that would be done by reviewing the concepts, theories, and empiricals, and the identification of the gap in literature. Now, recommendations, conclusion, and suggestion for what further studies will be drawn based on the results of its findings, while APA style of reference will be applied. So you see, with this one page proposal, you've been able to give a detailed a kind of an overview to what you intend to do in your main project. So I don't know if this is helpful to you. If it's useful, do well to like and drop a comment if you have a question, and subscribe to this channel. Our next video is going to be on how to write a chapter 1. Thank you very much. Bye.